when a remote-controlled car breaks. A remote-controlled car that's been driving around for 20 or 30 minutes, fixing it can be a real puzzle. A remote-controlled car that had a missile chip inserted into it by a North Korean terrorist group. It might drive around the neighborhood with a camera attached to it with duct tape, live streaming to a nearby attic. Or a bird that can steer the car and insult you. There could be hundreds of tiny individual pieces, each of which needs to interact with the others precisely. To make the job even trickier, you often can't tell what's been done to a remote-controlled car since you lost it at customs at the airport. Maybe there's damage that was never fixed, or fixed badly. Sometimes entire portions of the original remote-controlled car have been taken apart, and you worry that your missile chip might have gone missing, and that the North Koreans who hired you might kill you. But you can't know for sure, because there are rarely diagrams of what the remote-controlled car is supposed to look like. A remote-controlled car that cool doesn't come with a manual, so instead, the few people left in the world that know how to do this kind of thing rely on what are called witness marks to guide their way. A witness mark can be a small dent, a hole that had once held a screw. These are actual impressions and outlines and discolorations left inside the remote-controlled car of missile chips that might have once been there. They're clues to what was in the remote-controlled car maker's mind when he first finished the thing. I'm told fixing an old remote-controlled car can be maddening. You're constantly wondering if you've spent hours going down a path that was likely going to take you nowhere. And all you've got are these vague witness marks, which might not even mean what you think they mean. So at every moment along the way, you have to decide if you're wasting your time or not. Anyway, I only learned about all this because years ago, a remote-control car owner, Alex Pruitt, contacted me and asked me to help him solve a burglary.
I saw a burglar. There was a guy in the house, he had 2 lookouts, and a driver in a gray van. A white male, a little older than Dad, and he was wearing butt inspection gloves. I saw a burglar yesterday, and I saw a burglar today. What about Johnny Allen's dog? I talked to Johnny last night. His dog was kidnapped on Monday morning.
From HDS West London and HDS Studios, I'm Joe Sherville. This is How to Survive.
Hello and welcome to the first Christmas special edition of How to Survive. My name is Joe, joining me as ever on this particularly festive day.
Yeah.
Chris Morris, hello.
Hello, Merry Christmas Eve. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So, our third Christmas Eve on the How to Survive podcast.
Yeah.
And the third time we've covered a Home Alone movie.
Yeah.
Tradition.
It's
almost like as expected now as our Friday the 13th franchise dissection.
And like most traditions, it's become a chore, tired, and...
people don't really understand why we do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's lost the original meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's just a consumerist vehicle.
It's long since become a commercial interest. And no one really remembers why we began it in the first place.
Exactly. But all those years ago, there were two wise men on Christmas Eve, and they set out to learn how to survive in a movie. And that movie was Home Alone. Last year we did Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. You can go back and find those in our back catalogue, wherever you get your podcasts. And this year, to keep that Christmas spirit alive, jumping back in, Home Alone 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
No Macaulay Culkin.
No.
No John Hughes. No Joe Pesci.
No.
Nothing really from the original.
Yeah.
So what we'll do...
I like at Christmas time, you always think of people who are no longer with you.
Yeah.
And just like them, you don't realise how much you'll miss them until they're gone.
It's really not the same without them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Home Alone 3, available on Now TV.
Yeah.
First time we plugged that.
Yeah.
It's also available in all good
bargain bins, petrol station forecourts. Yeah. As part of a 4-pack, which suspiciously only has Macaulay Culkin on the front cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the kid from who played Alex in Home Alone 3. Exactly.
I know
his name's Alex as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to recap the plot as ever, and then move on to how we would survive. Joe, tell us what happens in Home Alone 3.
A team of international high-class thieves have crossed 2 continents to steal a $10 million microchip.
If that goes in a missile, air defenses can't stop it.
They traced it to a quiet Chicago suburb.
There are 14 houses.
Their only mistake
We're going to have to search them all.
is being in the same neighborhood as Alex Pruitt.
911 emergency. I saw a burglar. 3015 Washington Street.
Abort.
Evacuate the area.
Whoa.
Take the other side. Freeze!
Son, false alarms are no joking matter.
It wasn't a false alarm. It was a guy in the house. He had 2 lookouts and a driver in a gray van.
Apologize to the chief and go up to your room.
Excuse me for being a good citizen.
The world laughs, Alex.
You've stained the family name.
Loser! Shut up.
Who called the police?
It's a kid. It can't be anything else.
Tomorrow we hit number 3026.
Nobody's gonna do anything about this. I'll just have to do it myself.
So, Chris, Home Alone 3. 4 international terrorists working for a North Korean agency have stolen a missile chip from the US government.
Yeah. No, Joe, Die Hard's the next Christmas special. Oh, no, wait. Oh, sorry, no, this is Home Alone 3. Yeah.
They're attempting to smuggle the chip across the border by hiding it in a remote-control car, which they hide in a grocery bag.
Well, it's like a department store bag.
Right.
Yeah.
The bag is accidentally picked up by the wrong person, an old lady called Mrs. Hess, who takes it home and gives it to a child who lives nearby.
Yeah, and she doesn't realise that it's not a loaf of San Franciscan sourdough until she's already home. Now, I mean...
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. Right. The terrorist spies go to extreme lengths to retrieve the device, including renting an apartment on the street where the old lady and the young boy both live, and posing as new neighbours, despite obviously being spies.
Yeah.
They fool everyone except the child, who is some kind of genius, and sets various traps around his home and the wider neighbourhood.
Yeah, he's home from school because...
he has chickenpox.
Doesn't take place at Christmas either.
No,
really,
just
does it?
in a winter setting.
Yeah. It's like they couldn't get the licence for Christmas.
Yeah. The traps are mostly designed around a talking parrot.
Yeah.
The famous remote-controlled car from the opening sequence, and household objects which have become weaponized in the presence of a sick mind.
Yeah.
The traps brutalize the 4 spies until the FBI reach the house and secure the chip and take the terrorists into custody. I've just summed up like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The movie ends with everyone celebrating a job well done, and the parrot drives in on a remote-control car and provides a witty line, which I cannot remember. Can you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many funny, memorable lines in Home Alone 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I wouldn't share a room with you if you were growing on my arse.
Yeah.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah.
I can't even remember one character's name in this film. Home Alone 3.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, the intro is possibly the most alienating 15 minutes of a children's film that I've ever seen, because if you're a child, the opening scenes, which are like a sort of bad action spy thriller, must have been confusing, like alienating and boring, because it's just like people in dark rooms talking. Like I'm a 26-year-old man,
right,
and I found it alienating and confusing and boring. So if I was 10, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, trip to the cinema, or you know, DVD at Christmas, let's watch Home Alone 3. It must have been like unbearable. And like it's about 15 minutes until the family even arrives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like if you compare that to the original two, the opening scene of both is the family getting ready to go on holiday.
And like Joe Pesci's introduced as the villain because he comes in as a policeman, right, pretending to like scope out the neighborhood. Right?
Exactly.
Right. That's an amazing way to do it.
Yeah.
This is just like if you said to a kid, "Oh, a kid got left alone at Christmas," okay. I understand exactly what you're saying. That's all you need. If you say to a kid, a group of international spies working for North Korean intelligence, it doesn't make any sense.
Like I think everything can be traced back really to the fact that they thought it was appropriate to have a group of international mercenaries working for North Korean terrorists as the villains in place of the sticky bandits. Like
because like Joe Pesci and Marv, Harry and Marv, they have amazing timing, amazing presence, and they look like bumbling criminals.
But you've gone from like bumbling burglars who are idiotic and, you know, funny to watch. You've gone from that to like people who are trying to engender the mass murder of like tens of thousands of people,
dealing in weapons, literally.
Like if the criminals are vicious enough to want to sell that microchip to North Korean terrorists, then like the chances are they're not going to quibble over shooting a small boy dead, right? And as a viewer, you know that the film isn't actually going to do that, so the stakes are like nil. Not that they were like anything, you know, to write home about in the original two, but it was like, oh, they might sort of grab him and like rough him up in a sort of cartoony way. Whereas this, they're like running around with pistols out.
There's one point where the guy sticks a gun in the kid's face. It's like, this is really inappropriate.
Like, and their status as terrorists sort of negates any enjoyment you could potentially get from their sort of clowning around.
Exactly.
Because the other thing is that like the wet bandits are like consistently incapable, but the terrorists are like internationally renowned terrorists who for the first like 10 minutes of the film just behave and, you know, are
spies.
And then suddenly for no reason they start dressing in like outlandish costumes and like falling down flights of stairs and all that sort of thing. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's like you've watched two different films. But it's not even like that in a sort of like funny amusing way. It's just terrible.
It's really bad. Really, really bad. I mean, it's like you said, the fact that they're terrorists. Now we in the West and like we have a perception of terrorists being a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And if you had the terrorists that are, you know, widely in our like, if Jason Bourne was up against terrorists, they probably would be like Arabic or from that area, the Middle Eastern, right? And if you'd had those guys in this role, it would have been like not funny at all.
No.
But somehow making them like American makes it like hilariously funny.
But they're not even American, are they? Like the main guy is like
Scandinavian.
Or something. It's
Germanic.
It's just like pan-international, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
But like the opening on them is bonkers. Because it's like, are they the focus of the story? Are they the main characters?
Yeah. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, you should have just cut those first two scenes out.
Yeah.
And just start with like the kid clearing up the driveway of the old lady.
Yeah.
Like and then they arrive and it's all like a bit mysterious, and then the more you get to know them, the more you realise that they're like bumbling fools.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
How about? I mean, can you name any of them?
I can, but that's only because of something that's coming up a little bit later.
Okay, fine.
But I did have to look up all their names for that.
Can you remember any lines from any of them? Any choice lines?
No, I can remember the bit where one of them like gets hit in the crotch and sort of squeals in a exaggerated falsetto voice.
It happens twice, 3 times maybe. Awful. All right, so I think we're kind of in agreement that this is a stark departure.
Yeah, it's like tone. I think it's just tonal.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think we were doing a live tweet while we watched this.
Yeah, because for various reasons we don't often see the films at the same time. But for we were when we watched Home Alone 3.
Yeah, so we did a live tweet together.
Yeah.
And one of the observations I made was that it's tonally, like in terms of like color palette, in terms of like music, in terms of the way everyone talks, it was like the X-Files.
Right.
It's just
like
really,
a TV thriller series.
It's really strange.
It's bizarre. The whole thing's bizarre.
That is one major departure from the original Home Alone, which was bright and Christmassy. Look, in Home Alone 1, the soundtrack was like an orchestra, and it was like ding, 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 and it was like jolly music.
Yeah, like Christmas film music. Yeah,
this one's like a rock soundtrack at some points. It's got like a ding, ding, ding.
Well, and also
ding.
it has all the sort of like, the remote control car like zooming around and like going into slow motion, and it's all radical because it's mid to late 90s, and
it is awful. Yeah. So why is it not Home Alone? So Home Alone 1, the wet bandits try and burgle a home, but they don't realise the child is alone in one, and the child outsmarts and embarrasses them, right? Mm-hmm. Home Alone 2, the wet bandits try to rob a toy store, they don't realise a child is onto them, and he outsmarts and embarrasses them. Home Alone 3, 4 terrorists hide a computer chip in a remote control car, a child doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't know he exists. That's basically the thought, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Home Alone... Home Alone 1, the family accidentally leave the kid at home when they rush to go on holiday, and they can't get home due to bad weather, meaning he's left home alone out of sort of like it's inescapable.
Yeah.
Home Alone 2, the kid accidentally gets on the wrong flight, and the family try to reunite with him but can't find him in New York because it's such a big city, and there again it becomes like an inescapable situation.
Sure.
Home Alone 3, the parents deliberately leave the sick 8-year-old child alone and go to work.
Yeah, like there's mitigating circumstances, isn't it? They're not doing it out of spite, but it's still, just...
It's unthinkable. There's no way that would be...
Yeah. No, definitely not. Oh dear, what a mess.
Yeah.
What did you think of Alex Pruitt, which my notes tell me was played by Alex D. Linz?
Right. Did he go on to do anything else?
Yeah, I think he's still in things at the moment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing massive. He wasn't like a young Leonardo DiCaprio or something.
No, it certainly wasn't. Well, it's only possible to look at him in relation to Macaulay Culkin, right?
Yeah. Who did you find more annoying?
Alex.
Really?
Yeah, by far.
I think I found him less annoying, but that's only by virtue of the fact that he had like no character traits whatsoever.
Right. Yeah.
So
he had chicken pox.
He was basically just like a blank slate for sort of precocious child.
Right.
And so, yeah, he didn't have any, like Macaulay Culkin's performance is a bit sort of like over the top and like, gets a bit cloying. I found in the first 2 films, whereas this one, there's like no performance to speak of. Like he might as well just be smiling down the camera lens every time it cuts to him. Like, yeah, he might as well just be a balloon or something.
With a face on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no lines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Macaulay Culkin, that is.
Yeah.
He's very clever, but he's also like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And this Alex is about 4.
He's 8.
He's not 8.
He is 8, yeah. Yeah. 8 years old.
Well, he looks about 4.
Yeah.
He's young for 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's probably bullied. By the way, here's the thing that we haven't mentioned.
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio might not be in it, but I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. First film role?
Presumably.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable that it wasn't her last as well.
Well, it's not that bad. She just took a phoned-in performance.
Yeah, no, well, she's fine in the role.
Yeah. That's my brother you were talking about.
I don't think anyone would have like looked at that performance and gone, I can, like Jonathan Glazer, like watching it like 20 years ago going, oh, that's the person that I want to be in Under the Skin or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. She's an Oscar winner, right?
No, I don't think so.
What was she nominated for her, maybe?
Maybe. She's not actually in the film though, is she?
No. Yeah, but she is.
Well, yeah, but like, yeah.
She's credited.
Yeah, no, I know that, but it's like a voice only performance, isn't it?
Has anyone ever won an Oscar for a voice only performance?
I don't think so.
Wouldn't imagine so,
No.
Other differences between Kevin and Alex. Kevin is seen to be charming, articulate, imaginative, and intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is seen to be rude to an old lady and then ill.
Yeah, and the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, but he's not crying wolf.
Yeah.
The boy, if the movie had like a 15-minute sequence instead of the spies of him prank calling the police,
yeah,
and then they just like, we're not going to listen to you anymore, that would set it up a lot better.
Made more sense.
Or like if he was looking in his telescope all the time and saying, "Hey, Mum, I can see Mars," or "I can see like a UFO."
Yeah. If he was a pathological liar.
But instead he sees things, and she says like, "I've always told you, if you look in that telescope too long,
you'll start to see things that aren't there."
So what the fuck are you talking about?
That's not a thing that anyone has ever said. That's not a sentiment that has ever been expressed before.
No, even if it was like, "Oh, you ate too much cheese before bed," like anything like that.
Yeah, it's strange.
Kevin uses gadgets that he'd have access to in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
Alex uses gadgets that don't exist on any plane of reality,
right?
In ways which are impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he has a video recording camera, right? A tape recorder camera.
Yeah.
Which somehow transmits like a live stream into his loft TV.
Yeah, he invented Periscope long before it was invented for real.
And then it like, do you remember when you were a kid and you had like a remote control car? And the range would be like 4 foot.
Yeah, you have to like run after it for it to carry on working.
And then the battery would run flat after about 1 minute.
Yeah. That whole extended remote control car like chase scene goes on for about 15 minutes.
Too long.
Yeah.
Ends in someone being run over.
Yeah.
What was he up to? Like the guy, he's like, I'm gonna chase it in a car.
Yeah. Well, yeah, more on that later.
Right. Just to wrap up, some other key differences between this and other Home Alone movies which make it inferior. You mentioned it before. Funny voices.
Yeah.
Harry and Marv. I mean, Joe Pesci never did like a little girly...
Yeah.
Right? Never got banged on the head and started talking like Daffy Duck, did he?
No.
That never happened. And then, like when someone gets hit in the head in a cartoon and you hear like tweeting birds, that happens in Home Alone 3. Doesn't happen in Home Alone. There's a difference.
It's a lower grade of comedy, is what you're thinking.
Yeah, the thing is, it's exactly the same. Like shot for shot, you could have someone getting hit on the head and falling over like flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
But there's something just somehow different between it being like Joe Pesci doing it, and some like woman doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The woman you're referring to, by the way, is Alice.
Okay.
Who is one of the four terrorists.
Other differences, it's absolutely charmless from start to finish.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's got no, like, maybe it's the fact that it's not set at Christmas for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's my next point.
It's just, it doesn't have all the things that adds to the previous Home Alone movies.
Right. Because there's peril in Home Alone that he won't get to spend Christmas with his family.
Right, yeah.
That's one of the things.
Whereas this is like, can he avoid being assassinated before his his parents get home from work? It's like really bizarre. Yeah.
Imagine that on the box. Alex is homesick from school. His parents have left him alone. Can he avoid being assassinated?
Until they get back, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Well, those assassins in question, Joe, they are Peter. Peter is the leader. Then we've got Alice. Burton is the one who has sort of quite stark eyes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then Earl is, for lack of a better term, the idiot.
There's one that they refer to by his like full name though.
Yeah. Burton, I can't remember his last name.
Mr. Unger, as I recall.
Yeah, Burton Unger, I think his name is, yeah. So those are the four terrorists, Peter, Alice, Earl and Burton. Now, various injuries befall these four, don't they? And,
yeah.
As is traditional, I've delved deep into my encyclopedic knowledge of injuries and the effect they have on the human body in order to draw up a conclusive list of the major injuries and the effect they would have.
Right.
Now, I don't know about you, but it felt to me like there were a lot more sort of minor bumps and, you know, people just pratfalling and bumping into each other and all that sort of things.
Yeah.
So I've discounted all of that. And
there was one just worthy mentioning, which I'm guessing on that basis you've left out, where they try and jump over a fence at the same time.
And they clash
faces.
heads in midair.
But they must have they must be basketball players. Like a 5-foot vertical jump.
Yeah. Well, there's a Earl at one point chases after the remote control car and tries to do like a touchdown style, you know, like he's grabbing a rabbit or something.
Right, dives after it.
Yeah, and it just lands like flat on his face. So Home Alone 3, these all broadly take place during the house defence.
Okay.
And like I said, there are numerous little injuries that beset them, but these are the main ones. We're going to start with Earl.
Okay.
Now, he's hit by a van, isn't he? And knocked to the ground. A van that Burton is driving, which seems to be going at, 30 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
So he sort of jumps in a sort of like cat-like manner and lands in a sort of crawling position on the bonnet of the van.
Military crawl, you might call that.
Yeah. So you're looking at... And then, of course, the van stops and he gets flung from the bonnet of the van onto the ground. So you're looking at like possible broken wrists, ribs. Later on, he complains of bad knees.
Right, yeah.
As a result of the accident. So I don't think that's a defined medical term.
Yeah.
But maybe that's some ligament damage or something.
Cartilage,
joint pain, yeah. Is it fatal? Probably not.
Doesn't appear to be.
No, it doesn't. But hold on, because up next is Earl again, as well as Burton. Now, they're both electrocuted, aren't they?
Badly.
For a full 15 to 20 seconds. Earl... he's electrocuted so severely that the seat of his trousers explodes, and his hair stands on end. He's got quite long hair as well. Burton is sort of thrown through the air. He sits down on a chair which has been like live wired, and he gets electrocuted until. Presumably, there's a build-up of charge so significant that it like launches him out of the chair into the door.
Then he falls back on the chair.
Yeah, and then sort of tumbles over. And we see the chair, the seat of the chair has melted through completely. Such was the heat, energy generated by the short circuiting.
Because the way you're describing it sounds like it could be a really funny slapstick scene, but it's just so not.
Well, short-circuiting electricity obviously generates heat. In fact, you'd need so much heat to melt that plastic. You'd need about 250 degrees Celsius at least. So he was basically sitting on, something that was, 1.5 times over boiling point. Which was the result of him being electrocuted. And would that be fatal? The answer is yes. Yes, it would be, because it only takes as little as about 3 seconds of 7 milliamps reaching your heart. That's enough to put it into arrhythmia, which is bad news for you, obviously. Now, they both spend a considerably longer time being electrocuted and with what appears to be a much more significant charge. So Burton and Earl, they're dead.
Both dead.
Both dead. Earl also has bad knees. Next up, we've got Earl again, and this time he's with Peter because if you remember, he goes around the front of the house And
then he tries to get in the door.
Yeah, and there's a chest that Alex has filled with books, which falls out of the sort of attic window.
Yeah, so it's his third story, really.
Yeah, and lands on both of their heads.
No, I think it just lands on his, and then he's laying wounded.
No, they're both there, I think.
And then Peter steps over him. Is like, "You're an amateur."
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, you might be right. Actually.
No, I think what you missed there is the way Earl fell over.
Yeah,
because he stood on a doormat which had marbles under it.
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
So that you left that part out because obviously it's just
exactly. It just
a
falls
bruise.
over.
Yeah. And then Peter said, "Oh, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
you should have noticed this tripwire."
Yeah, and
which he then cuts.
But it releases he doesn't realise that it releases the chest, which lands on them both. I think.
Right, correct. Yeah.
And then they get up, and it's followed by a what looks to be around 30-kilogram dumbbell.
Right.
Which again lands on their heads. So hit in the face by a large chest filled with books dropped from a roof. So you're estimating a 30-kilogram wooden chest.
Yeah.
And then a conservative estimate of 30 books. And if they're all paperbacks, then they weigh an average of, 2 kilos or something like that.
Total?
Each.
Each?
Yeah.
2 kilos on a book?
Apparently, well, that's what Google told me.
All right.
So maybe they're particularly thick books.
Yeah.
But you're looking at a total of around 100 kilograms dropped from a 3-story house. That's an impact force of 14,560 newtons, which is 1,400 times the weight of the object divided by 2 because it lands on both of them.
Right. Nice.
And then the same again with an estimated 30-kilogram dumbbell. So that's a crushed skull, neck broken, huge cranial hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
Facial degloving, possibly.
Probably, yeah.
The classic
skull fractures.
You see, yeah, it's gonna severely damage them.
Yeah.
They did see it coming, so they might have been able to mitigate the impact.
Yeah, defense wounds.
Yeah, but then the injuries would have been compounded by the dumbbell that followed it.
Right.
So is that fatal? You'd say probably.
I'd be surprised if you weren't killed by that.
Right. Yeah, both of them certainly. Then we move on to Alice, which of course is the first female target of one of these nefarious schemes.
Yeah.
And she has a flower pot that lands on her head from the rooftop. That happens twice. Again,
one to the cranium and one to the face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, you're looking at sort of potential skull fracturing, maybe bleeding on the brain.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It sort of depends on the flower pot.
It looks like it's terracotta.
Right. Yeah. Which is quite.
It's thick. It's heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's full as well, so it's probably like a brick, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, she doesn't mitigate the impact either time either. So, I mean, it's probably fatal, but it would depend on the flower pot. But as you say, they look quite significant. We go back to Peter, who gets sprayed in the eyes with some black paint.
Yeah. Instant blinding.
Yeah. Well, he seems like he closed his eyes though, just in time, by the looks of what's left, because the eyes themselves aren't black.
Yeah.
He's got sort of like raccoon style black mark over his eyes. So that's probably not fatal. Peter again. He then gets punched in the groin by a pneumatic arm with a boxing glove on the end.
Yeah, which we see earlier in the film.
Yeah. That's probably, possible testicular torsion, certainly some bruising. Could lose a testicle if it's an extreme impact. Again, probably not fatal, but life-changing
exactly,
circumstances.
Yeah. He's going to have to reconsider his plans to have children.
Yeah. We go back to Alice. She's out the front of the house, and maybe it's the back of the house actually. She falls on her back, damaging it such that it needs sort of significant cracking in order for her to feel right again. Then falls through the floor into the basement, and then has Peter land on top of her. Now that seems like a nasty injury, but she's walking around afterwards, which indicates that there's no,
lasting damage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, maybe some cracked vertebrae or ribs as she lands in the basement. Certainly Peter doesn't seem like a small guy. No. So when he lands on top of her, that could be some extra damage. We go back to Burton, who at one
This
stage...
is the first one for Burton, isn't it?
No, he got electrocuted until
right.
death.
Hasn't been moving around since then.
Well, he climbs up through a window and then falls 3 stories into a basement, landing on a toilet with sufficient force to blow the door out from the room that he's in, as well as destroy the toilet. So you're looking at, like, there's got to be some broken bones there, cracked vertebrae, possibly pelvic, neck or coccyx injuries.
Yeah. He must have reached terminal velocity.
Well, 3 floors is probably a little bit too low to reach terminal velocity, but it'd have been going at... Well, if you're going so fast that the porcelain toilet smashes to pieces underneath you, then that's a fair old whack. I mean, certainly life-changing injuries, probably dead. Earl, remember him?
Yeah.
He traps his fingers in a mousetrap, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's annoying for him. He's looking at some broken fingers, maybe some cuts.
But you've not done with mousetraps before, surely. They don't sever your fingers.
No, I know, but it's painful, clearly.
Yeah.
I didn't mean sever. I mean, like,
broken,
just grazed cuts.
Right. Okay.
Not fatal.
Not cut off, but
no.
cut. Yeah.
Burton again. He gets hit in the groin with a hockey stick, which is enough to send his voice 3 or 4 octaves higher than it should be.
Right.
Again, testicular injury, probably not fatal. Now, the big stunt set piece, you'd say, is Earl and Burton as they leap from the roof, chasing Alex, into the garden where they think a trampoline is waiting for them, and it turns out to be a swimming pool that's been filled with waist-high water and given the appearance of a trampoline, and so they basically just fall into a half-filled swimming pool, which the water only comes up to their waist. From a 3-story house.
Yeah.
That's broken legs, ankles, possibly broken backs, depending on how they land. Furthermore, they're left stranded, possibly paralysed in ice-cold water. And when we see them later, they've actually got ice like forming on their skin. They're coated in ice crystals. So that's very significantly
they're
cold.
More or less frozen solids.
Yeah, so you're going to have hypothermia as well as a lasting effect of that. It's impossible to imagine a scenario where they're not dead because, they could break their back and just sort of like float and drown. They could freeze in the cold. The cold could exacerbate all their pre-existing injuries.
I mean, it's so they're injured so badly and they're so cold that they can't actually get out of the water.
Exactly. Yeah. And Alice, seeing that, decides to take the laundry chute with the little elevator, but not realising that Alex has already removed the floor. She climbs into it backwards and falls down the laundry chute right to the basement, where she lands on her back in a sort of horribly contorted position. And later when we see her being arrested, she's being carried off to prison still in that position, which would imply that she's permanently stuck in that sort of crippled position. There must be some permanent bone breaks, ligament damage,
nervous system.
It doesn't look like fate. It doesn't look like it's fatal, but she's going to be needing, care for life, significant care. And then, of course, the last ailment that besets them all is chickenpox.
Oh, of course.
Which in adults can actually cause skin infections, pneumonia, shingles, and encephalitis in severe cases, which is swelling of the brain. Which, should they all contract encephalitis, they could suffer permanent brain damage. So overall, you'd say Earl, Peter and Burton are all definitely dead, and Alice is permanently disabled, and it's probably they're probably all dead if it's sort of cumulative, taken in a cumulative way.
So there.
Merry Christmas!
Oh man. So 4 deaths really.
Yeah, as good as, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, Alex never gets into any real peril, does he?
Not a significant amount.
At the end of Terminal 1, Kevin does get caught and he's about to be like fucked up, and then the old man
fucked up.
The old man comes and hits Joe Pesci and Harry over the head with a shovel.
Yeah.
And Marv.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. What can you say there? I mean, he doesn't seem to get within. The only time he's near any of them is when Peter draws what he thinks is a gun, but it's a dart gun. I mean, if you're an international assassin, you should know the difference between like a plastic children's toy and your actual firearm.
Yeah.
Which Alex puts in the bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Still handled a weapon though. Still in this movie a.
Yeah. Do you think that's a
child.
message of anti-gun control?
No.
Okay. Moving on.
So, Chris, those they're not the wet bandits, they're not the sticky bandits. They're
the terrorists.
Yeah,
let's just call them the terrorists.
Let's call them what they are.
Yeah,
terrorists. If you were one of them, or if you were Alex or maybe Mrs. Hess,
sure,
who was for most of the movie tied to a chair in like a freezing cold garage.
Yeah.
What would you do to survive?
Well, at one stage, Earl, one of the terrorists, makes a suggestion, which seems like a rash decision, but in retrospect is probably the best bit of advice any character offers during the film. And that's when he says, why not whack every kid in the neighbourhood, burn them all?
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrorists. That would create a great deal of terror.
Also, they are all under some sort of like threat of death themselves.
Yeah, and you know why wouldn't you do that? Because you're a terrorist and you're planning on, if not directly, then at least facilitating the murder of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what difference does it make?
Yeah, I can't really argue with you. This does stray into. I mean, we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I said, why didn't they just torture the one guy to get the information they need? And you said I was a maniac.
Yeah. Well, you think murdering children makes me equally...
No, you're much worse.
Oh, right, I see, yeah. Well, it's actually, I'm just quoting a piece of advice as opposed to echoing something that... as opposed to just,
coming up with your own ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what you were doing a few weeks ago.
Yeah, maybe.
What about you? Any ideas?
Yeah, similar to yours. I mean, you were suggesting killing all the children in the street. I'm saying just swap bags back.
Yeah, that's true.
You know where she lives. Just drive around there, knock the door. Hi there. I know this may sound weird, but I asked the taxi driver who brought you here. Where you lived. I think our bags got swapped at the airport. I think I've got your Californian sourdough. Do you mind swapping back? Because that remote control car you had is really important to me.
Yeah.
That's it. Problem solved.
Yeah. Would the sourdough have lasted? Just buy her a new one. Buy her two.
Yeah. Shoot her.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
If she says, I'm not going to tell you where that remote control car is for some reason. I don't know why she would, but if she did that, beat her up.
Yeah. Great. My second bit of advice.
Yeah.
The FBI get wind. I think it's the FBI or the CIA.
Yeah.
The Secret Service of some kind. Anyway, get wind that the microchip is in the possession of Alex after he phones the military. And the senior person that we see gets informed of this and goes, "We're going to Chicago." Why? Just to get the police to go around there?
Yeah.
Just call the police and go, we've just had a call from a kid who says that we've got a microchip missing and he's got it. Can you just go round and get it off him, please?
There's not one branch of the FBI.
No.
There's many.
And I mean, why wouldn't you use the police? There's no reason not to. Like, not to mention the fact that if they'd done any sort of cursory research into the kid, they'd have found that he'd recently supposedly fictitiously made up reasons to call authorities for, on spurious grounds. So why wouldn't they just get the police to go around and go, look, this is your final warning. Give us the microchip. Otherwise, we're going to have to start finding your parents or, you're going to be in really big trouble.
Wait. This is your final warning. Give us the microchip or we'll find your parents.
Well, like whatever. You're going to be in big trouble. Because this kid is recently sort of cried wolf, as I said.
Mm.
And what if they fly a whole division of the FBI out there, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I was just making it up. I've got a fucking remote control car." Like they're going to look like arseholes, aren't they? So, and it's going to be a waste of money.
Yeah.
And that's not going to look good for anyone. So there's literally no reason for them not to use.
He's not a good FBI man, is he?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
It's the second scene he's in. He's like, he goes into the school where the mother has the other two children, not Alex, but the brother, Scarlett Johansson, and and the brother.
Yeah, they go to the school. I don't know why they went to the school.
It's because he says your son called the FBI, and they think it's the other son, the older son.
Right.
So that's why.
Okay. Right.
And then the older son's like, no, I didn't. And then he's like, all right, I have to go to your house now. And they said, why? And he just looks awkward.
And then the camera cuts away.
He looks at his shoes, and then he like walks towards the door, and then like, just tell us why you need to go there. And he's like, he looks back at them like glumly, and then she's like, well, doesn't say anything. They doesn't even he's like hesitating to say anything, and then he like puts his hand on the door handle, and they're like, just tell us. And he like looks back again.
Oh, and then they threaten him.
Then Scarlett Johansson runs over there and slams the door shut and goes,
yeah.
"That's my little brother you're talking about."
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh right, okay, I'll tell you then."
Yeah.
He's like
he's gonna get assassinated by
he's
North
got
Korean.
a missile chip that he's stolen from the North Koreans or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're all like, that's meant to be like a hilariously funny line, and all the family sat there with their mouths open like, what?
Wow, he was telling he wasn't making loads of shit up all the time. Yeah.
Rubbish.
Any further thoughts from you?
Yeah, just put the chip in a bag.
Right.
Just put it in your hand luggage.
As opposed to because I presume they're hiding it, right? They're smuggling it out.
Yeah, is it not illegal to take a chip through customs?
But if the X-ray might show up the like serial number and go like, USA Air Force. That's probably a bad sort of thing. And maybe they're looking for microchips. If one's gone missing, you'd imagine that airports would be on the lookout for it in people's luggage.
Maybe. I don't know about that. Just put it in a.
Just check your bag.
Yeah.
Just check it before you.
Yep.
Go. Oh, sorry. I think we've got. Yeah.
Put it in a walkie-talkie, or like a Walkman in the.
Yeah, but it still would have ended up in Mrs. Hess's bag.
No, just put it in your handbag.
Right, yeah, in a big cell phone.
Yeah. Similarly, don't use the most common bag in the world. Apparently,
right? Yeah.
Everyone's got that bag.
Yeah, it's San Francisco,
sourdough.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Fair comment.
Basically, yeah, just don't do that.
Yeah,
because it's like sometimes you hear about spycraft and you think that's really impressive. Like Snowden apparently smuggled the information he needed out in that Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
That's really, really clever. But that was so he'd get it, wouldn't have to scan it or like put it through the metal detectors.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like apocryphal. He threw it to the guard and the guard did Rubik's Cube a little bit and then gave it back to him. And it's like super genius, man, right?
Yeah.
This is not that.
No, it's not. You're right. You are correct.
Yeah. Any more for you?
Yeah, I've got one more, and this is a bit of advice for Peter, the leader of the internationally renowned criminals,
Interpol's most wanted man,
assassins. Yeah. Just kill that bird. Just kill the bird.
The parrot.
Yeah. He's hiding in his little igloo, and the parrot comes in and goes like, "Oh, I'm gonna like burn the igloo to the ground if you don't give me a cracker." Just grab it, kill it with your bare hands. It's a parrot. It's a little parakeet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the movie misunderstands that when parrots talk, they're like
they're repeating, they're parroting phrases.
But he's having like a full conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Bargaining with it.
Yeah, exactly. The parrot is the most intelligent character in the film.
Yeah.
By some distance. You're an international criminal who moments earlier was threatening a small child with a gun.
Yeah.
There's a parakeet with a match who's just rode in on a remote controlled car. Just like grab it and rip its head off with your bare hands, and then you'll be safe hiding in the igloo. Job done.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like so Maybe he's been so humbled by the savage beating that has been dished out to him that he's just like he's got no
fight left,
no self-belief. Yeah. Either way, he didn't do that very well, did he?
Yeah. I mean, mine's been relatively peaceful. My advice, which has been like swap the bags back safely.
Yeah.
And carry the chip in your pocket.
Mine's kill all the children
and then kill the animals as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah. Take a boat.
From where?
Wherever they start.
Just right. Oh, you mean don't fly?
Yeah.
Can you get a boat from like North Korea to?
Yeah, it's not landlocked.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Or cargo it. Just send it in the post.
I think it's quite difficult to get in and out of North Korea. I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah, but not if you're on the North Korean side.
Right. Well, yeah.
If you're working for the North Koreans, I'm sure you can get in quite easily.
Yeah. So take a boat rather than a plane from wherever they are.
Yeah.
New York to North Korea.
Yep. Doable.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, so we've got kill the babies, kill the animals, go to North Korea.
Yeah, I didn't actually say kill babies. I just said kill the children.
Babies are children.
I'm not a maniac.
I'll kill the children, kill the animals.
Yeah.
Then get a boat to North Korea.
Sure. Job done. Film survived.
Yeah, well done everyone for surviving that film.
This is the first of our 2 bonus episodes.
Yeah.
For Christmas. You remember last year that we did Die Hard?
Yeah.
So it will come as no great surprise to you that on Boxing Day there should be a podcast waiting for you in your app of choice.
For unboxing. That's what Boxing Day was for originally. You give boxes on Boxing Day.
Right.
And there's a little box of Die Hard 2 for you.
Yeah, Die Hard 2.
Die Harder.
Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Yeah. Starring
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yep. Great stuff there. Good insight. Look forward to more stuff like that on Boxing Day. A little Christmas treat for you.
If you've got any thoughts on how you'd survive in this movie or any of the others,
yeah,
please do get in touch. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com.
Yep.
Tweet us at HowToSurvivePod.
Mm-hmm.
Or Facebook us. Facebook.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on YouTube.
Yeah, youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yeah, you can look us up on there, see our videos.
Yeah.
Make us some revenue, mate. A little bit of revenue, a little bit of ad rev.
Christmas treat for us.
Yeah, a little bit of ad rev on the old vids there.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah, 2, that's not long, is it?
No.
You big plans for Christmas?
No.
We're going to do this, edit this.
Yep. Go watch Die Hard 2, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll see you back here, bright and breezy, on Boxing Day.
See you then.